What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Durable by Design. I am here with Crispy Barnett. What up?
What's up?
Today is number 2 of the Surroundbound series for us talking about. We get more practical. I ranted for way too long last time. This time it's getting very practical. We're talking about, first we're going to start with methodically, scientifically, why the problem exists, and then very tactically, why it matters, and then what you can do about it to get it implemented inside. So let us get started and let us go. So, Surroundbound exists because something's broken. What do you think's broken? Like, why would you, if you started a new company, do Surroundbound?
I would do Surroundbound at a new company because of the impact that it has short-term and long-term on the value of my brand identity and how that influences growth.
I'm gonna say this differently, and I agree with what you just said. Is something broken? The answer is yes. And I would make a strong argument that outbound as a methodology, specifically cold, when it is cold, and when not done, like Surroundbound is actually outbound and inbound put together. Outbound as a methodology of sending cold emails and calling is fundamentally broken and no longer works. Like I'll say that as a statement, unless you throw bakudos of money and it's a numbers game and it's a bad.
Yep.
Why do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's impersonal mainly, and it's annoying and a fucking drag like to deal with, honestly. Like, it's so annoying to deal with, like cold calls, cold emails, all that stuff. And I think that there's a misconception of how people view LinkedIn and how it should be treated, in the sense of there's two things. One is people view LinkedIn as a digital resume. And to a certain degree, that's correct, because it details a lot of the stuff like your work history, blah, blah, blah. But your LinkedIn is your identity to everyone else. And a digital resume is not your identity. And a business is the exact same thing, which is point 2. Your LinkedIn presence is not a digital resume of what your business does. Your LinkedIn is the identity to everyone else, which means that if you are surroundbounding certain ICPs, right, you want to be inevitable in their ecosystem and meet them where they are, not by, hey, can I, show you this demo or this solution, and I'm going to blast you until you inevitably unsubscribe, or I'm going to cold call you and I'm going to report your ass that you're scam likely for the rest of the time. Like, there's so many different and better ways to do it. And I think it goes back to the organic will always prevail over paid. Always. Yeah,
that's a really good point. Organic will always fail. And I actually do think people were using email in some nice way. And this is why I think cold email doesn't work anymore. I don't think that people were cold calling poorly necessarily. I just think it became inundated with crap. And organic will always prevail. I have this idea of the slow death of cold outbound and why it no longer works. And people can argue to me with their face right off. I was just like, I will never accept your cold call. You talking to me would never do a cold call, so shut up. Like, stop talking about it. Don't do it. Like, literally, we should all live by love your neighbor as yourself. And if you love me and you call me, I would tell you don't love me. In fact, so there are 3 things that I would call that's the downfall of cold call. And that'd be, number 1, the effect of automation. And that's just straight up sales. HubSpot does it. Sequences. It is the robust and democratization of the ability to send mass amount of emails at one given time for cold calls, to have like call ringers where they'll just automatically call you, get a list of numbers. Like all these automation tools that were built around the idea that it's now easier to scale actually make it harder to scale. Like in many ways, cold email has killed itself by brute force. It worked for a time. It no longer works. Number 2, the change in the buyer is, I call it the Amazonification effect, meaning we all now, whether we expect a different level of service. And someday we call it same day delivery. And same day delivery has changed how we interact with the world, even how we do fast food. It is. And B2C is becoming a lot like B2B. And so these B2C practices have affected how B2B buyers buy. And traditionally, B2B buyers were more no, people buy based on feelings and they justify logics. You have a feeling and you justify it with logic. And so these are so people now they self-educate more. It's more dark. They test, try, and then they return it for free. Right? Like this is you return it for free, you deliver for free, and they just have a different expectation. And then they want to consume things with very, very little friction. And you cold calling me, in fact, if you call me from your brand, I actually won't buy from you. I'll be angry at you. Gong. The number 3 is the effect of the effect of waterfall math is these PE companies that say they're looking about predictability, and so it's this X activities produce this many opportunities create this many close one, this many close ones, this much revenue, and this much revenue will renew at this much time, and I can throw people into a system predictably create outcomes. It works until it no longer works because you've just thrown people and created numbers, and the people in which you're doing it are people, and this you can't continuously inundate them and expect them to buy the same way. Like people change. So, man, if you're clear, there's a big darn problem, and I don't think people, especially agencies, recognize the power they have because you can make a big splash, very little. The average person, in fact, receives. You know how many emails they receive? 127 emails a day. Ridiculous. So, what do you do? What'd you do? What do you do?
If I was starting from scratch, I would block dedicated time 3 times per week and just fucking build content. Like, I wouldn't use AI at all. I would build content and I wouldn't change the way that I wrote it. I would write it in the sense of this is how I would explain it to someone if I was talking to them on a podcast or talking to them in person in a conversation. Yep. That's what's kind of lacking right now is that authenticity, if we're talking about like organic will prevail over paid, authenticity will always prevail over AI generated content. Always.
Yeah. Like people talk about do LinkedIn automation. That's stupid. Like LinkedIn automation and hitting people's DMs means there's just more automation. And that doesn't work. And I think what you said, people self-educate more and just ask friends. So unless they already know you, unless they already know you, everything you say doesn't mean anything. And so how do you habitually help people know you more? You have to have things to say. And you have to have a point of view. And you have to say it in the same way over and over again. And you have to be human. And Surroundbound really is the habituation of you become like you showing out your authentic self with a point of view that is very valuable for people that have the problem set you're solving. Period. And so if I started again, because I did, right? I was like starting our company again. And I was like, one of the things I did is said, everybody in the entire company has to post as part of their job, like create content.
And we only hire a network.
And we only hire a network. Yeah, there's some pretty specific, like Surroundbound is not just a marketing strategy. It's a sales strategy. We have team quota because of this. Like, because you actually can't control if CVP puts a video out and Caleb also sees who gets credit for it. Both. That's who gets credit for it. And so I'm going to be, I'm just leading this is what I'm saying with Surroundbound is not that cold calling doesn't work. It just is the least efficient and effective way you could go to market or you could go to customer. Yeah. And I, as a person, just recommend use agencies don't do that because consumption patterns have changed and the sales patterns have changed. And so I'm a big believer in Thus, you need a different way of going to market. You need a different way of going to customer.
This is where I the go to customer of the methodology of meeting them where they are and speaking in the language that they understand.
Yeah, and it's like weird. What the freak is Surroundbound? What does it mean? Here's what I like to say. Oh crap! When somebody thinks about HubSpot or adoption or process compliance or whatever it is, it's impossible not to see you talking about that problem set. That's Surroundbound.
Yep.
That's the end state. The end state is the end state isn't, and this is where I think marketing gets in trouble. And I've had to I'll die on this hill. It is not. And they know what I do. No, it is mind share. When they think about this problem, they see you show up. They don't even know why. They're like, I see you. I see you everywhere, and I don't know what you do. That's the end state of Surroundbound. That's the end state of Surroundbound. So when Crispy says, "Hey, you want to demo with me?" As internet boyfriend, you're like, "I guess I will." And I've seen y'all enough. Like I need to finally figure out what you do. I've seen you everywhere. That's the power. It turns everything that would have been cold into something that's very warm. And that's the brilliance of it. I mean, it makes everything warm. So when you do some of the cold outbound outreach, so like, I've heard about you. So when somebody reaches out, people say, I've been meaning to. I've had this. I reach out. I'm like, hey, I think it'd be great. Oh man, I've been meaning to talk to you. I'm like, I don't know. Like, that's great. Talk to me now. Or I've heard of y'all before. I've seen y'all talking about. Not sure what you do, but I see you everywhere. Someone referred me to you, and I don't really know what you do, but I know you have lightning bolts everywhere. Mm-hmm. That's the end state of Surroundbound. So, how do you do it? There's a few principles that I want to talk about for this. It is video is better. Funny is better than serious. Sometimes funny means strong point of view with no caring about what anybody thinks. Yeah. So conviction is better than vanilla. In fact, I'd say if you do vanilla, you just shouldn't even do it. You have to have conviction in something. And then last is, this is the most important part. More is better. Quantity over quality. Quantity over quality is the most important part.
This is why I comment on people's stuff with like GIFs all the time. Like, good example, shout out to Rob Jones, who we talked about in a previous episode. Someone made a post about Rob Jones today and said that Rob's a legend. And I was like, yeah, tell me something I don't know. And Rob said, something you don't know is I open mouth kissed a horse one time. And I created myself as a horse in ChatGPT and responded with that. Dumb stuff like that makes a giant difference.
Yeah. Just like, does this stuff work, guys? If y'all seen it, but just like a very specific source. When I first started Super, I was the only rep, the only marketing person, me and Steve, out there flapping. And in 9 months, we had a close rate of 60%. And I exclusively sourced via LinkedIn content to $1.4 million AAR in 9 months. It's really difficult to. That is blistering fast.
That's wild.
And it's wild. It's wild. And it's not me. It is literally just, it's a Surroundbound. And I'd been doing it for a little bit. I think Art, there's this idea, but it just allows you to go in places, in spaces, and articulate thoughts and bring in, you go to customers so much faster. Why do people fail at it?
Lack of commitment, lack of follow through. And this is like when I train other customers or people on this, the last thing that I tell them is, don't look at the data for 3 months. Just do it relentlessly. Like, repetition counts more than anything else. Quantity, like you said, like, choose something you're passionate about and just do it like crazy. Like if you just do that for 3 months, you will double your following in a year, guaranteed. Period.
Yep.
So they get burnt out and they give up, and that's why you fail. That's why you get beat. Surroundbound is a thing that doesn't end. It's not like you do it once and it works forever. It's a constant thing that you have to do all the time.
Yeah. This was in the first episode. That's why the philosophy on this matter, conviction matters so much. It is. This is not something you say, I'm going to do this. This is something, oh, okay. This is how the world works.
Yeah. You're getting married to Surroundbound.
Yes.
You're not
Yeah, we should start a Surroundbound community, I think, because it's like just, here's the 3 reasons I found, and I've now tried to. I'd say an RPI failed, and you'd be like, "What are you talking about?" I say RPI failed to propagate this, and Super and I succeeded at this point in time. We got almost 20 people, and I say I succeeded. Everybody produces content. I think I got to whip some people into shape. Actually, I think about it, but everybody produces content. In some regular capacity. There are 3 things. Number 1, it's hard, and inside of being hard is you have to create content 3 times per week forever. Forever. That's hard. You get into another 3 is paralysis, because you're doing it, and social networks are cancer. For your soul. And so there's some of this is you just can't look at the results. The outcomes that occur. Like I got 5 likes or I got 2 likes. That has nothing to do with your value as a human.
Yep.
And at the beginning, it just has nothing to do with your value as a human. And you have to come in it with trepidation, and you cannot let it consume you. So there's a paralysis to it is what I'm going to say. There's a fatigue and a paralysis that come with it. And you will get fatigued and say, not worth it. I couldn't do it. And the reality is, no, you are, I would say there might be something deeper you need to connect with. And so I think it's very spiritual in a way to do this, because you have to get rid of all the external validation. Over time.
That is, it's the vulnerability piece,
which is number 3. It takes vulnerability, and it's uncomfortable, and you just got to do it. Number 2, it's new. This is it wasn't even possible 20 years ago. They call it social selling. And we're not talking about social selling. We're talking about an entire company, everybody in the company talking about the same types of things forever. That's not social selling. That is Surroundbound. And with this kind of more is better. And it's like, well, isn't that marketing's job? Isn't that marketing's job? No. It's everyone's job to share a piece. And this is where it gets weird. This is where it's like some people don't want to do it, and I get it. Right. It is everyone's job. We're carrying the weight of marketing. Not one person is we win and we lose together. What is I don't feel like I can sign up for it. Then you're not on the team. When I go play a game in sports, I can't say I'm the water boy unless you don't ever want to be on the field and play. Mm-hmm. So get on the field and play. And this is this type of it takes that level of, and it's just hard. It's new. And last, it's scary. We're literally saying, stop doing as many activities. Do less. Now, you're doing more. You're writing, but you're doing less activities that would predictably create results. And you just have to trust the process. Mm-hmm. And it's scary for people who start new because it's a high touch, low volume play. And it's because it's physically impossible to be as relevant and specific and not AI. And there's comfort. There's actually comfort in feeling busy and doing activities. I sent out 1,000 emails. Great. I got 1% hit. Great. It's just, what you did is ruin your brand. That's what you did.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you define the difference between the high touch, low volume and the quantity over quality piece?
Yeah. I define Surroundbound. I talk about this quantity. I literally mean quantity of thought. There's the idea of action leadership. Thought leadership. I have a great important thought. Let me spend time writing an amazing blog post about how you do Surroundbound. Worthless. What I move from thought leadership to action leadership, meaning I'm running a company And I just had one person put in their 2 weeks notice. I had one of my people just randomly quit and take 3 of my clients away. And I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I'm very angry right now. So you got to move from thinking a big, important thought to real freaking problems that help people do things. Yeah. And quantity is vulnerable every single day, having something, not about the quality of the thought, but the authenticity of the thought. That's quantity.
Yep.
That activity is, I've done 1,000 activities. No, you can only post once a day, maybe twice a day. Mm-hmm. And so it's about, then there's a whole thing where we get further. I know we're like 20 minutes in of operationalizing Surroundbound, of taking one piece of content and reusing it in multiple places. That's another aspect of the quantity, but you just have to start posting on LinkedIn 3 times per week. So, on our next episode, what I want to do for this is give people a framework on how you start. I'm going to introduce it. It's called Step 1, find the space. Step 2, start making noise. Step 3, surround. And we'll talk about each one of those steps in order. And I'll leave us with this. Surroundbound, I'm reading, this is Surroundbound is more action leadership than thought leadership. You don't need perfectly crafted messaging. The message is honed through repetition. Mm-hmm. The market will tell you what they want to hear. The best messaging is the one that has been battle tested through pain and stress and blood and tears. Just start doing. Okay, everybody. Stay awesome. Keep doing it big. And stay super.